Tonight we're making chicken with a mushroom sauce, and that'll just be smothered basically over the chicken, and that's what we're going to do tonight. And then I also have some cauliflower that I'm going to prepare for the vegetable. So let's get started. I'm going to take the chicken I have that's thawed. I'm going to rinse it out. It's been thawed all day. So it's frozen. I had it in the refrigerator thawing. Took it out. I'm going to rinse it off. Stick it on this paper towel. And then we're going to prep the chicken. So these are nicely rinsed. Just like that. And you want them pretty dry. You want to get them as dry as possible. But the first time we're going to go and get some of this excess off of here. We're going to trim them up and then size them up before I stick them in the pan. So let's go ahead and trim them up. You'll see all this rib meat right here. We need to take that off. So take that off. Don't want that on the chicken. And like I like to set my chicken fat, any extra pieces aside, and I'll put it in my bowl, and I'll set it in my plastic bag for my chicken fat, and then I'll render that down later. And I gotta get a video for that still. But if you see right here, you'll see a little bit of this. You want to take that off too as well. And I'm gonna get these to be somewhat of a similar size. So here's one piece turned into two good sized pieces. And the chicken will, as it cooks, shrinks down a little bit. So we'll want to leave them pretty good sized pieces. I just want to take that off. Okay, so there's two good sized pieces there. And we don't have to trim all the fat off, but we do want to trim anything that's like chewy. It's pretty much up to you how much you want to trim off. But me in particular, I don't like the chewy stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that out of here. Okay, got that off. That looks alright. That looks alright. Now we're going to take this down into two pieces. Two good sized pieces here. Okay, and there's some here I'm going to take off. Never ever going to be identical, so it's going to be one of those you just have to check it out. If you don't like it, take it off. If you don't like the look of it, take it off. Take this little sliver out of there. Some of this little fat right here, we don't need that. Okay, that looks good. Last one. And it's up to you how much chicken breast you want to use. It's pretty much divvied up by, how much chicken you're going to cook that evening. We like to do a little bit of a lot, so we'll have a little bit of leftovers for the next day. And then if we don't have leftovers, then we don't have leftovers. But I'm going to go ahead and do up these three big breasts that I have. There's a little bit on the side. I'm going to cut that off. Always make sure you have a sharp knife when you cut meat. It's a lot easier using a sharp knife. So a little bit off here. There we go. And cut these down to pieces. Pretty good size pieces there. And that looks good. And then just this inside here piece that I'm going to take off. Get that kind of hard little gristle that I don't like. can get that taken off. There. Okay. That looks good to me. All right. And as you can see, they're drying up as I cut into them. So what I'm going to do is take these out of here, put them on my cutting board, and go ahead and season them up. Because I want them to be as dry as possible. That's pretty dry. Because I want all of my seasonings to stick to my meat and not fall off. And we're not using any type of I don't want to say egg wash or anything like that, so I'm going to put them nice and dry, and you'll see why here in a minute. Dry them up. Real good. All right. There'll be a little piece. I'll take this little piece off of here, I think. There we go. That's good enough for me. Okay, then we're going to use these seasonings. Now, it's really hard to measure when you're just putting them on the chicken. So there's no real measurements when you are seasoning your chicken. It goes by how big your piece is and what you're going to cover all of it. So we're going to wash my hands real quick before I get into the seasoning box. Make sure they're washed really good. Get you a good towel. Nice and clean. All right. I'm going to start with, let's start with some onion powder. I'm just going to sprinkle it on, coating. And we're just going to coat the chicken. Shake it up, I guess, because it's kind of clustered together, so you don't want it to be clustered. You can see I'm just coating the top with some onion powder. Just coating it. Okay. And I also have some baking powder. And what the baking powder is going to do is help keep all my chicken moist. So I'm just going to sprinkle, just a sprinkle on each. A little kind of goes a long way, so just sprinkle. And my smoked paprika. There we go. Smoked paprika. Need my paper towel. I don't want to mix the seasonings too much here, so I use my fingers a lot. So I stick my finger in there, grab some out, shake off the rest, sprinkle, sprinkle, put my finger in there, hold some together, shake off the rest. That's good. I have garlic powder. If I can open it. You really have to be careful with the garlic powder because it likes to pour out. So I might just go in and take the top off. Use it this way. It doesn't really pour very well. So I'm going to get a little bit down. Come to the top of it. Same thing. Scoop, pinch, sprinkle. Scoop, pinch, and sprinkle. Oh, come on. I didn't get a lot that time. Let's see. That one. Okay. All right. I don't know why this is out there. I'm just going to use the smoked paprika. And of course we'll need parsley flakes. Kind of grind them up in your hand. Just kind of give it a little bit more of a, what do I say, grind to them so they're not so big flaked. You just want to sprinkle that on. Yeah, like that. A little bit more over here. There you go. Okay. Parsley. Thyme. Garlic salt. I don't know if you can really see garlic salt, but when you're doing it, you'll be able to see it. A little bit of garlic salt does go a long way, so just remember we are doing them front and back, so don't want to overdo it. Then I'm going to use the pepper. A little couple of each. There we go. And then I have the Pam. And we're going to spray them with Pam and then flip them over. Careful when you spray it because you might spray off some of those ingredients. So you might not want to get too close to it. Just make sure it's sprayed pretty good. Okay, and then we're going to flip. Like that. Let that get in there, marinated in there. Okay. Wash my hands. And then we'll do the other side. Dry the hands. And we'll repeat on the other side. So we started with our onion powder. I like to do the onion powder first just because I can see it. When you have a lot of ingredients on there, you can barely see it. It's white and it just blends in so good. So make sure, you can see what you're doing. Just the baking powder to keep the chicken moist. All right, that's good. Garlic powder. on the finger. Give it a good pinch. There you go. Garlic powder. Paprika. Smoked paprika. Thyme. Okay. Parsley. Remember to crunch that parsley up a little bit more. Get it kind of like a powdery, not too leafy. Kind of just want to roll it in your fingers as you're sprinkling along. Salt. Oops. Garlic salt. Not one doesn't get on my finger very well. I'm trying. There we go. All right. Do our pepper. And our spray. And once we spray these down, they're ready to go into the fryer. We gotta go get our fryer prepared and ready to roll. Get these start to cook. Just like that. Good to go. Alright. Then I'm going to switch you over to we are ready to go over to the stove. Start putting everything together on the stove. Well, we're here at the stove. I've got some rendered chicken fat I'm going to use for my chicken. Now you can use vegetable oil, you can use grapeseed oil, anything like that you want. I'm going to turn this up to medium high. I'm going to go ahead and put maybe 2 spoonfuls in here, maybe 3 because this is a wide pan. So I'll put in there 3 big spoonfuls of chicken fat in there. Just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. You don't want it too deep with oil. Just enough to cover the pan. So we'll let that melt down in there and then we'll swish it around the pan a little bit. And while that's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and get my cauliflower started. And I cheated. I went and bought some frozen cauliflower. I didn't use fresh, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my bottom cauliflower open. Spray the bottom of this with a little bit of pan. I want the cheese to be all sticking up in there. Spray the pan, put our cauliflower in there. Okay. Sprinkle some pepper in there. good amount. And our cheese has salt in it. You don't really need a lot of salt. So I am just going to leave the cheese as it is, not put any extra salt in it. So we're going to just slice it up and lay it on top. And I have this Velveeta Blanco. I have a little bit of it left in my fridge, so I'm going to use the rest of this up. Just cover it, just like that. And since it's frozen, there's going to be water in there once it cooks. And I think that's good. Just enough to cover all that up, just to cover that up. And I have a little bit of extra here. I'm just going to take and put some more in here. And then we'll cover it with aluminum foil. Aluminum foil, excuse me. Take my saran wrap, not aluminum foil, saran wrap, cover it up, and we're going to microwave it when we're ready. We'll probably microwave it for a couple minutes, maybe a good 4 minutes. I would think 4 minutes should do it. But we'll put that in there when we're done with the sauce and all that. So that's ready. And it looks like our oil here is, yes, melted. It's just enough to cover the bottom. And we want to check it to make sure, see if it's right. It's ready to put anything in it. And as you see, there are no bubbles in there. So it is not ready yet. So I will come back when this oil is hot and it's ready to go. I'm checking the pan and the bubbles are starting to go. If you look really well, they are coming up. They're coming up really well. Sorry, sometimes I talk and it doesn't come out the way I want it to. But you can see the bubbles in there, hopefully. Check it with the wood. Always works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the temperature down to medium. And I'm going to put my chicken in. Go. And I'm going to layer it all on the outside of the pan, on the outskirts of the pan. I don't want to try to get it in the middle, because the middle really does cook a lot faster. And it looks like I'm not really going to have a choice here. So, if you happen to have to use the middle, just remember to always watch that chicken, because it's going to cook faster than the rest of them. So, I'll show you how to check it to make sure. But if it's cooked first, you're going to take that one off first. I'm going to set the timer now for 5 minutes. Cook time. Actually, we're going to cancel. So, timer, 5 minutes. Start. Okay. And I've got a clear glass bowl, so when the chicken is finished, I'm going to put that in here. And I'll be able to keep it warm when I put it in the microwave. I should be able to keep it warm until it's ready. Sometimes you can put a bowl over top of it, a metal bowl, and that will keep it nice and warm. And prepare it for dinner. And while this is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and take my mushrooms, put them in my colander, rinse out my mushrooms, and get that ready for the sauce. So, depending on how much chicken you're going to use, you're going to need as much mushrooms to cover that chicken. So you're looking, look, 5 or 6 good pieces of mushrooms on each. It's probably going to use maybe 1.5 of these, because remember, these mushrooms, when you cook them, they're going to shrink down, and I'll show you that. It'll shrink down to about half of this container. So I might just go ahead and just end up doing 2, just because we really love mushrooms. And when I'm done cleaning them and the chicken's ready to be flipped, I will be back. The timer just went off, and it's time to go ahead and flip these. So this will be the first flip. This is number 1. Nice, golden. Really, really nice. Nice and golden. So we're going to set the timer again. Make sure we push them all to the outside. Leave that one in the center. And we're going to do the countdown again for another 5 minutes. So we're going to do timer, 5 minutes. Start. Here we go. And while that's cooking, I went ahead and rinsed my mushrooms really, really well. I laid them on this paper towel, and then I put it back into the strainer so that it can collect any moisture from the mushrooms. Because when I get it in the pan and I want to saute it, I don't want it turning, it's going to cook all the moisture out of the mushrooms anyway, but I don't want there to be a lot of liquid in the bottom. I did end up using a whole one and half a one. And these are 8 ounces, so I use 4 ounces of one, 8 ounces of 12 ounces altogether for these, 6 chicken breasts. I'll come back when we get ready to do the next flip. We get 3, 2, 1. Timer's going off, so we're going to flip them again. Now if you want to just feel them, you can kind of feel how mushy they feel. They feel really, really soft. And that's how you know that they're not done. They're really, really soft. And we have a couple more turns to do anyway, so. But if you just want to touch them, you can kind of feel how soft they are. You don't want them soft. So I'm going to set the timer again for another 5 minutes. Okay. And this will be, what is it, 1, 2. We're going to do at least 4 times, so 5 minutes on each side. So 5, 10. And this, after this one's done, will be 15. And then another flip will be 20 minutes. So at least 20 minutes on each side. The mushrooms are looking pretty dry. That's nice. Get all the moisture out of there. Got that ready. Getting the sauce ready next. But we need to put it in this pan. So once this chicken comes to, 4 minutes left on it to begin to flip, I will be right back. Time to flip again. I want to check this middle one. Make sure it's almost done there. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the timer here for another 5 minutes. Okay, and then we've got one more flip. This middle one, since it feels very firm, I mean, it's not mushy, so it feels pretty firm. I might end up having to take this out in the next flip and just leave the remaining other ones in there. Yeah, probably what I'm going to end up doing, since the center of the pan cooks a lot faster. Alright, I'll see you at the next flip. The timer went off. I'm going to take this middle one out of here. It looks pretty done to me. And I'm going to go ahead and flip these. I want to say these are looking really good. And maybe because they're bigger chicken breasts, you might have to take another 5, but I think this last 5 should do it. We'll see. One more 5. Just to be on the safe side. And I'm going to take, and I've cheated a little bit, I've taken a plate and I put it in the microwave for a minute. Now this plate's hot. What it's going to do is it's going to build up moisture underneath here and keep everything nice and warm. So when those are ready, those will go underneath here as well. And then we'll go ahead and start our sauce. I'll see you back when the 5 minutes is up. Timer just went off. So I'm going to take these out. Set them on this plate here that I have prepared. Nice and warm plate. So I'll keep my chicken nice and warm. And then the chicken should rest at least 5 minutes to allow all the juices to come back up into the chicken, okay? So I'm going to cover that. Let that set aside there. Oven is still on medium, so I'm going to leave it on medium. I'm going to take this grease, pull all this grease out. Right. Just like that. Now leave all that little tidbits right there. Leave it in the pan. We're going to toss in all of these mushrooms. Nice and dried mushrooms. Okay. And you'll see how big this is right now with all these mushrooms in there. It's going to cook down so much you're not going to even resemble what I have in this pan right now. So I'm going to take the garlic. I'm going to take about a tablespoon of garlic. I'm going to put a tablespoon. We like garlic in this house, and I'm going to use a tablespoon of garlic. And we like butter, so we're going to put some butter in there too. Let's see. With all these mushrooms, I'm probably just going to put maybe 3 tablespoons of butter in there. That's about it. That's all we really need to put in there. That's good. I'll save that butter another time. Saute it up. And what you want to do is you want to see your pan become really clean. You want all of those juices from the chicken soaking into those mushrooms. And we're going to let the mushrooms shrink down and get semi-brown on the outside. And then that sauteing process will be done. Let this butter melt into it. Stir it up really, really well. Don't let it burn. It shouldn't burn. It's on medium. It shouldn't burn. Just need to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn. But don't stir it too hard. You don't want to break the mushrooms in half. You want to leave the mushrooms as whole as possible. So I'm going to let this sit for a minute. Come back and stir it up. Come back and stir it up. Come back and stir it up until they shrink down in size. All right, I'll be back when they're shrunk down in size and all the bottom of the pan has been absorbed in the mushrooms, and then we can start making our sauce. All right, my mushrooms have been cooking for a little while. It's starting to get juicy down here. It's cooking out all of the water out of those mushrooms. That's what you want. You want this water that's down here will be all cooked out. So just leave it alone. Let the water cook out. Stir it every now and then so it doesn't burn. And just leave them to cook. And I will be back when the water is gone and it's starting to brown. All my liquid has been cooked out. No more liquid in the pan. And now my my mushrooms. My mushrooms are sauteed. Nice and brown. I'm going to start by turning this back down to medium. And we're going to start adding our ingredients to start with our sauce. So, I am going to use that one. Well, I'm going to do the tablespoon of butter last. So, what you want to do is you want to take at least 3 ounces of cream cheese. We're going to throw that in the pan. 3 ounces of cream cheese. Stuff in there. Get it to separate a little bit there. Okay. Get our milk. And I'm going to add a 1/4 cup here of milk. Another 1/4 cup of milk. And I think one more 1/4 cup of milk. I'm going to just do 1 cup of milk. I have so many mushrooms in here. So I'm going to do 1 cup of milk. Add some pepper. Okay. Remember, pepper is good for you. So you want to use the pepper. And I am going to use the chicken bouillon. Stir this up a little bit here. Get this Parmesan, or not Parmesan, excuse me. Get this cream cheese. Man, I cannot talk today. Get the cream cheese. Spread around in here. Add our chicken bouillon. And I've added about half half a tablespoon. And we'll start with half a tablespoon. Just because the mushrooms, they're not all, you know, the mushrooms, the sauce, all of this is just by taste, really. Because it's going to be different depending on how many chicken breasts you use, how many mushrooms you use. So you really, this meal is pretty much by taste. The chicken bouillon is going to add the saltiness to it. So that's what we're looking for. The cream cheese is going to add the cream. It's going to make it nice and creamy. And once we get this to start to boil, it'll start to thicken on its own. The sauce will start to thicken, and then we can add that last tablespoon of butter. And the reason is because if I add the tablespoon of butter into it now, it could actually, when it cooks all the way, it's going to cook too fast, and the butter will actually start to separate. And you don't want to do that. You don't want the butter to separate the cream from the whey. You don't want it to separate. So we're just going to do it last to add that just extra bit of creaminess. Now my chicken is still hot underneath here. You can feel the bowl. It's plenty hot underneath here, so it's still warm. And that should stay warm for quite some time. So if you ever need, you know, a quick hack to keep your food warm, put it on a, you know, put your plate in the microwave for about a minute, stick a metal bowl over top of it, and it will stay warm. And this meal does take a little bit to cook, a little time to cook, so you'll want to keep your food warm as possible, and you don't want to have to recook it. We're going to bring this to a boil. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and put this up on medium high. I'm going to go ahead and stick my cauliflower in the microwave, and I'm going to set it for 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and start it now. And so it won't take too much longer. This stuff's already starting to boil, if you see. It is pretty quick. So once this sauce is thickened, we are done and we're ready to roll. We're ready to eat. I'm going to taste this and see if this bouillon is enough in there. I need to add a little more. We'll see. What I'm looking for is the saltiness of it. And I'm thinking I could probably put the last of that bouillon in there. So it would need at least 1 tablespoon of bouillon in with that. And that should be good. Now my husband usually a potato and steak man. That's what he likes. And he likes his sauteed mushrooms, don't get me wrong. But ever since I've started making this, you know, ever since I started making this dish, he's been wanting it. I think we make this dish at least a good maybe once every week to every 2 weeks, at least. It doesn't get old. It just takes a little bit of time. You see how this sauce is starting to thicken? It's starting to come together. It's starting to cling to the mushrooms. That's what we want. We don't want it to burn. We want it to cling to the mushrooms. I'm just going to test it one more time just to make sure. Yeah. Very, very good. So that 1 tablespoon did us really, really good. So. See, I've got 1 more minute on the cauliflower. It doesn't take too long to cook that stuff. It's always easy to do frozen vegetables. Very easy to steam them by just doing what I just did. Sticking them in a glass pan. Easy to do that. It's starting to come together. It's starting to stick to the mushrooms. Man, this is looking really good. And I know that all that mushrooms, it looked like it was a lot of mushrooms, but it really is not a lot of mushrooms when you think about how much chicken I have to pour over. You know, I have to have so much mushrooms to pour each piece of chicken, so it really is not a lot. A spoon here for the sauce, a spoon for the cauliflower, a spoon for the sauce. I've got my chicken pieces over there. Put my milk back in the fridge. Turn that on. It's coming together. Okay. Yay. Now I'm going to add my last tablespoon of butter. A little bit more creamy on there. Draw it from the heat. Butter to melt up in there. Ooh. Very, very nice. Okay. And then we're ready to plate this up. Time to eat. So, I'm going to take the cauliflower out. You can kind of see what it looks like here. Whew. Nice and hot. That's what we want. Looks really good with cheese all melted on there. Really, really good. Yeah, I'm just going to push this back over semi on the heat there, I guess, because I want to pull this chicken down. So start plating this up. I'm going to take a piece of chicken. And over there, get our spoon. Full of cheese. Cheesy cauliflower. Alright. Cheesy cauliflower. And our spoon for the sauce. This mushroom sauce. I'm just going to glaze it right on top. Just like that. Just a glaze. Just like that. And there you have dinner. Chicken with the mushroom sauce and some cheesy cauliflower. Hope you guys like this meal. Check it out. Make you some. Let me know what you think in the comments. And for the fam, love you guys. Eat good.